anything, Mark. Thanks, Mark. I think that's working. Hold on. Yay, that's working. Woo, that's loud in my ears. Let me turn that down. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the stream. Hope everybody's doing good today. Obviously, big news for today. We're back above $110,000 Bitcoin. So there's that happened. There we go. There's my cropped cam. I think wasn't our previous, I don't even know. The previous was up to like 112 or something, or did it or is this new? I feel like we hit 110 at one point already, right? At some point, wasn't it like 112 and then we came back down? It was right around this time. And so, but it doesn't look like it's showing that here. Maybe it was only on certain things. So actually, coin market cap showing over 110 is pretty big deal. Anyways, still not going to be enough to really make up for older mining equipment. That is primarily going to be due to the fact that the difficulty is so high, but look at that. We did have a tick up in difficulty here for the month of June. We're not quite at, what is it, a zettahash? We're at 932 exahash, but difficulty is making things difficult. So if we go to hashrate.no and pull up the ASICs for today, let's look at an S19, that older hardware. Right now clocked in at 8 cents a kilowatt hour. I mean, probably, I tried to, if I put in 8.5, it puts in 9. I wish they would have down, you know, to the hundredths on hashrate.no. Maybe they'll get that for us at some point. But at 8 cents a kilowatt hour, the S19 still losing $1 a day currently. So any of your hosting facilities, etc., that average price, what is it, right? Like 8.5 cents at both Coastal and Terra. I know there's a couple places where you can get down to the 6 cents. So let's clock that down. I think the lowest I've seen is 6.5 cents, but if we went down to 6 cents, scroll back down to that S19. There's the T19. There's the S19. You are in profit at 6 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's pretty good as far as that's concerned. Like I said, I think it's more like 6.5. So if we clock in 7, just to be on the safe side. And obviously this is stock settings. So with, you know, firmware from Hive or Lux or whatever, right? All of the different firmwares that you can get at this point, it's definitely possible to make these older hardware start to hit profit again. We technically have what, till October, so we have 4 more months of a potential new high based on, you know, previous cycles. It may continue here, just depends on what's going on. I have a few topics to cover, so we'll get into it. But thanks everybody for stopping in. Son of a Rabid Panda, thanks for being here. Pure Crypto Boss, good to see you. Spec Mining, welcome to the stream. All Track, welcome. Integra Guy, welcome to the stream. And Papa Lip. That's all I got in there right now so far. So I wanted to go over a couple of, I hate it when it does this, but okay. So obviously we'll talk about this first, but we're definitely going to talk about the 110K and the perspective coming from CoinDesk. They make you log in now after you've read too many articles, which is like so frustrating. So I've really been pulling more articles from Cointelegraph, definitely trying to be lean heavy over there these days. Not a fan of CoinDesk personally, but let me get this out so I can actually talk. Take a sip. Take a sip. All right. So Bitcoin climbs above 110K at crossroads for next major move. Let's see what they're saying. So Bitcoin's quiet climb on Monday accelerated to its strongest price in June, rebounding from last week's decline to near all-time high levels. The largest crypto advanced by 3.7% over the past 24 hours, topping 110,000 US dollars, and is changing hands by only 2% from its record prices observed in May. Ethereum's Ether kept pace with a 3.8% gain during the same period, bouncing above 2,620, nowhere near its all-time high. And native tokens of Hyperliquid and Sui, however we want to pronounce it, outperformed most large cap cryptocurrencies, rising 7% and 4.5% respectively. Bitcoin's move higher caught leverage traders off guard, liquidating over 110 million US dollars worth of short positions within an hour. Once again, guys, stop leverage trading. Don't do this sort of thing. It's gambling. These guys are in a rough spot, but obviously it's a lot of money. So they're probably just, trust fund babies wasting their money on shorts. Shorts are seeking to profit from declining asset prices. The move happened while traditional markets showed muted action, with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ indexes flat on the day. Crypto-related stocks bounced during the session to catch up with Bitcoin's recovery over the weekend. A peaceful rally is a perfect way to describe this price action, said well-followed analyst Caleb Franzen, founder of Cubic Analytics. Just a consistent development of higher highs and higher lows. Any signs of weakness, buyers step in and defend the trend. The crypto market is now on steadier footing for a potential next leg higher after Bitcoin's 10% decline to nearly 100,000 US dollars. And with more than $1.9 billion in liquidations across crypto derivatives over the past week, having flushed excessive leverage, Bitphoenix analyst noted in a Monday report. However, on-chain data indicates rising sell pressure from long-term holders that could overwhelm demand, the analyst said. And this is the thing that I've been talking about for quite some time, right? Bitcoin's at a point now with over 90% of the supply being mined at this point, right? That the pressure from selling no longer comes from the miners. It comes from the, people that are it comes from the holders. And the problem with that is, once again, you can only make so many millionaires before somebody decides to realize that in fiat and sell out. So, it's really tough to predict like how many people are in that position. And with the economy struggling so much right now, obviously there's a huge temptation for anybody that's made a decent chunk off of Bitcoin to peace out, right? And maybe pay some medical bills, buy some groceries, and keep up with those rising energy costs that Trump can't seem to get under control. Those macro catalysts may come later this week, noted Jake, an over-the-counter trader at crypto trading firm Wintermute. Quote, U.S. and Chinese trade representatives are scheduled to meet today, with markets likely sensitive to any headlines following last week's positive momentum, and the data calendar remains light until Wednesday, when CPI will offer fresh insights into U.S. inflation, he said. So there you go. That is kind of the catch up and my 2 cents on Bitcoin going above that mark of that $10,000 or $110,000 mark. So, no double top. We're going to 140K in 30 days, says Pure Crypto Boss. And Papa Lip says, says it's top for real now. So it keeps going up. Yep. And so who won the Bitcoin block? What Bitcoin block? Need the investment rotation to alts. Alts are still up in the air. I mean, like the problem is, like I've noted, is that, and I'll reiterate again, I feel like a broken record as far as alts are concerned, but the number one app on iOS and Android in regards to crypto is the Phantom wallet. And so, that means that people are going direct into Phantom. They're not, which is Solana, Sui, they've added a couple other networks, I guess, to that wallet, but by and large, pretty much Solana. And people are not onboarding through traditional centralized exchanges like Coinbase, which kind of takes out all of the layer one options that people typically move into. So from a proof of work perspective, not looking too good. Of course, if we go look at, I wonder if I should be logged in, but let's see, let's hit my watch list here. So if we take a look at my watch list, which is my proof of work watch list, and let's just say over the past 24 hours, Ravencoin did have a little bit of a run up, obviously, that we saw. It's over 2 cents now, but you know, its previous all-time high was like 16, 17 cents. So it has a hell of a long way to go to reach that. And I just don't know if that's actually possible this cycle or this halving cycle. If we look at some newer ones, I guess Flux had a okay showing with the 6% rise. What is that? Maybe like a 3% boost over Bitcoin. Let's take a look. I think everything else is kind of following Bitcoin. Is that pretty much it? It's a 2% boost over Bitcoin over the past 24 hours on Flux. And Ironfish, which is a newer cryptocurrency, so its price discovery, I think Ironfish is still way off from its all-time high as well, right? Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is pretty typical, so I would call this its actual realistic all-time high of $3.18, and currently it's at 13 cents. So, you know, not looking too good as far as that's concerned. And Conflux is in here. I think I need to add Cortex. Caspa, you know, down there at the 8-9 cents range. I don't think Caspa's been performing quite well recently. I think that's just due to the fact that a lot of people are holding it at this point, and any price discovery, those, you know, that 20% bump essentially between that 8 and 10 cents mark, as early as everything is in Caspa, you know, you take a look at like most miners with a single rig getting, you know, $1 million early on with their GPUs. It's hard to say no to $100,000 when the economy's tough, right? Ergo did crack $1 a while ago, but it's back down. It's basically staying in parity with Bitcoin. So we have a lot of green. I mean, if we go down here, some of the reds, even Radiant's green, which is honestly quite shocking. But if we go down to reds for the day, Chlor, which I did hear some reports that Chlor's website was down, but let me go check and see if that's true. Nope, that's not true. So Chlor AI's website is up. I think they had a little blip earlier, so wanted to check that out, make sure they're still up and running. Zealous is down, Meowcoin's down, Handshake's down, Abelion's down, Raptorium's down, Neural AI is down, Neoxa is down, and Dynex is down bad. So, you know, unfortunately, we just don't have the same onboarding process. Ravencoin really is performing quite well, but at the same time, it's nowhere near its all-time highs, and that's what we would prefer to see at the end of the day. Yeah, I need to add Minotauri, which I have in my search right here, but we'll add that real quick. So, actually don't even know how to do it on... I don't even know how to add it on the desktop because they never add from the desktop. Let's see. There we go. Is that? Nope, that didn't do it. Do I just click here? No. You guys are gonna have to help me. I feel dumb. I don't see it anywhere. Where's the add to watch list button? Is it here? There we go. All right. So it's at 3 cents. Yeah, I think its all-time high was what, 7 cents, something like that. But it's a new project, so we'll just have to wait for the price discovery on that one as well. Recent delistings off of Binance, by the way. Firo got kicked off, as did Cortex. So those are some pretty shocking results, I think, for a lot of people. Those two are getting kicked off of Binance right now. I guess we should take a look and see what that price reflection's looking like. Let's go over the past month or something. It doesn't seem to be affecting Firo too negatively, surprisingly enough. And Cortex. Let's see if it impacted Cortex here at all, which I think needs to be added to mine too. It does appear to have impacted. Well, let's look at this. Yeah, it does appear to have impacted Cortex a little bit. So, which makes sense because it's a Chinese coin. So I think Binance is a little bit more impactful over there. So there you go. What's up, Stick Shark? Welcome to stream. Let's move into the next topic. I thought this was interesting. It's an opinion piece, the end of Bitcoin maximalism. So the launch of Bitcoin in 2009 created a resilient and decentralized monetary asset. Early adherents rallied around it as a singular innovation, immutable, fixed supply, and leaderless. Over time, this coalesced into a belief system, Bitcoin maximalism. The argument was simple. Bitcoin came first. It had the most proof of work security, the most conservative monetary policy. All other assets were distractions or regressions. But that framing increasingly diverges from how Bitcoin is now being applied in practice. Today, the crypto ecosystem is no longer a collection of isolated silos, or at least it needn't be. Interoperability is the backbone of Web3. The same technologies that maximalists once dismissed, like wrapped Bitcoin and cross-chain bridges, are now exposing the limitations of that worldview. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that wholeheartedly, but let's hear them out. So while these technologies are far from perfect, they prove that users want more than ideological purity. They want utility and functionality. This evolution is particularly significant for Bitcoin, which has historically been limited by its transaction speeds and lack of smart contract functionality. The watershed moment came with the emergence and explosive growth of DeFi, offering yield farming, lending, and trading opportunities that Bitcoin, at least in its native form, couldn't directly participate in. Most early DeFi activity was concentrated on Ethereum, and now obviously Solana for the most part. To bridge this gap, solutions like wrapped Bitcoin were conceived and launched, tokenizing Bitcoin for use on Ethereum and other chains. While this was a step forward, wrapped tokens came with associated risks such as centralized custodians, potential security vulnerabilities, and an overall departure from Bitcoin's trustless ethos. New systems, including trust minimized tunneling and Bitcoin anchored consensus proofs, are enabling Bitcoin to be integrated into smart contract environments without compromising its core properties. These architectures avoid the need for wrapping. Instead, they treat Bitcoin as a foundational external settlement layer that can interact directly with the rest of the blockchain ecosystem through tunneling and specialized Bitcoin aware virtual machines. Now, I know that as tunneling pertains to exchanges, you want to be extremely careful because you can get into a position where you lose those funds. Tunneling is not quite perfect yet, just so everybody's aware of that. You know, if you want to go look into that, feel free to do so. I've heard of a lot of issues with it so far. I haven't used it personally. I just send Bitcoin on native Bitcoin chain. I don't even use Lightning personally, but the weight's not that bad, right? The result is simple. Bitcoin is no longer isolated, and it no longer needs to be. Bitcoin maximalism asserts that Bitcoin alone is sufficient, but the infrastructure now being deployed across the ecosystem proves otherwise. Bitcoin is being used in DeFi. Bitcoin is supporting NFT standards. Bitcoin is moving across chains, and it's doing so without compromising its consensus layer or monetary properties. The future of crypto belongs to collaboration, not isolation. Blockchain infrastructure will be shaped by interoperability and modular design. Bitcoin need not compete for dominance in such an ecosystem. Rather, it can complement and secure a broader multi-chain ecosystem. As developers build bridges between chains rather than walls, they prove that Bitcoin can coexist with other networks, enhancing its utility instead of competing for dominance. In this environment, the maximalist mentality of one coin to rule them all already feels out of touch. Yeah, except like this cycle definitely feels like one coin to rule them all, right? Like Bitcoin's outperforming almost everything outside of like what? Like maybe let's do over the, let's say, past year. Where's that compare button? Once again, I don't, here we go. Let's compare with, I think like what? Solana would be the best bet there. Bitcoin in the blue. I mean, Solana was doing good, but you know, it's definitely fallen off its performance. So even Solana is not really quite keeping up with Bitcoin at this time. So kind of interesting, but regular crypto users want flexibility and different options to stake, lend, or trade their assets across multiple platforms, which interoperability enables, unlike Bitcoin maximalism that restricts all out-of-the-box use cases. As multi-chain ecosystems mature, users are increasingly drawn to infrastructure that supports cross-chain utility, including secure integrations of BTC. Finally, Bitcoin maximalism has always been rooted mostly in ideology, but the crypto industry is driven by innovation, and new technologies are proving that BTC can evolve without losing its importance or advantages. This way, maximalists risk being left behind if they dismiss these advancements as mere distractions. I don't necessarily agree with this because, I mean, if you're a maximalist and you're holding Bitcoin, and other chains are adding Bitcoin, which is increasing the demand for Bitcoin itself, it's like, well, the price is still going up and you're still going to benefit from the demand that the interoperability with other chains creates, right? So I don't know. I think it's dumb. I think like the summary or the summation of this article based off of the facts makes no sense. Like pretty much this article makes zero sense in and of itself. But once you get to the conclusion, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't really make any sense. So I don't even know if this one's even really worth completing out as far as the article is concerned. Interoperability is important, but I would say that like most of the chains that have tried to implement interoperability, haven't gotten to the point, haven't shown to be extremely successful as of late anyways. And once again, like I said, if we were going to look at the markets, it is true that Bitcoin's dominance appears to be growing, not lessening. Unless I'm missing something, right? By and large, it appears, and I guess we can look at that, right? Because we can just Google what the current Bitcoin dominance chart. Let's look at that, right? Where can we pull that from? Maybe like TradingView or... So yeah, so TradingView's current Bitcoin dominance is 64% of the crypto market. And let's go 1 year, its dominance has actually grown 17% over the past year. So, I mean, to me, compared to last cycle, isn't Bitcoin dominance increasing at this point? Definitely appears to me that Bitcoin dominance is increasing, not decreasing. But, call me crazy. That's just seems to be what the chart is showing to me. So, man, CoinDesk has been getting more and more disappointing. I think that there's obviously they've been doing a lot of AI generated articles. This one was actually written by Jeff Garzik, so I was hoping for a little bit better. And then they're also making you log in to read their articles. I think I might just be done with getting news from CoinDesk after a certain point. It's really gone downhill significantly. I think Cointelegraph is kind of eating their lunch at the end of the day. And speaking of Cointelegraph, we do have an article from them talking about Tether planning to open source Bitcoin mining OS. And so I was trying to figure out what this was. So Tether, Bitcoin mining OS. So this one is really, really odd. So let's see if we have. So it's all talking about the article that I have right now. Okay, so here's where it started, I believe, and then we'll get to where we're at, right? So we went back to CoinDesk, but let's get a little information. When was this written? This was May 30th, so this is recent too. So Tether expects that the mining facility, so they invested in a mining facility. Does this talk about the mining OS? No, this is just their facility in Paraguay. I want the mining OS details. Because I was trying to fit. So let me tell you what the article's about, right? So USDT issuer is going to be open sourcing their Bitcoin mining OS, which is, I guess, short is Moss, and I guess it's going to be Arduino or okay. So they talk about, where is it? Raspberry Pi. So here's the yeah. Let's just read his Twitter, and then I'm going to try to dig into this and figure out what it is. So Tether will work towards open sourcing its Bitcoin mining OS. A horde of new Bitcoin mining companies will be able to enter the game and compete with the network to keep the network safe. No need anymore for third-party hosted software. MOS will create an even playing field, reducing the gap between publicly listed companies and smaller players. The mining OS is extremely scalable, resilient, and modular, built with peer-to-peer IoT architecture at its core. It can scale from a Raspberry Pi connected to a bunch of miners to full site development with multiple redundant mainframes monitoring hundreds of thousands of miners. So what I understand is that, and what I was trying to look into is I think this is just straight up like a competitor to Foreman or Hive, and it's supposed to be open source, right? So currently, like if you use Foreman or you use Hive, there are fees attached to those. So for mining firms, that are smaller or hosting facilities, etc., if they open source this, effectively, you can get rid of a lot of the fees and, improve your margins effectively, right? That's what I'm reading it as. The problem is I haven't been able to find any details on their OS in particular, but maybe you guys can help me find the links to it. So it's supposed to support, popular mining machines and vendors in a variety of containers and lots of electrical equipment. And any developer will be able to create custom plugins for other specific equipment and hopefully contribute back to the main code base. He also envisions full QVAC Tether integration to build better reports and enhance production and performance based on custom AI tools that learn from the huge data sets generated by the mining OS. Also, lots of small, mid-sized businesses that produce their electricity and solar will soon start mining with the excess. MOS will make their life easier. So it does go into like the diversification of Bitcoin miners. Large Bitcoin miners have a significant advantage over smaller players due to their economies of scale, which we've talked about a lot. The days of the home miner are kind of going away, unfortunately. But a lot of that has to do with energy costs. And I don't know if that's going to come back down. There was a lot of hope and like surrounding the Trump administration coming back in and bringing those energy costs down. But, I haven't seen that play out in reality, unfortunately, yet. And all we continue to see is increases. I know it takes time, so we'll have to see what happens. But as of right now, you aren't going to, definitely not even able to like get hosted with older equipment and be profitable. Some miners have built large Bitcoin treasuries to benefit from the asset's price appreciation during the bull market, while others have repurposed NGUs for artificial intelligence applications. Obviously, for example, Hive Digital are using AI workloads and has generated significantly more income than crypto mining, which has prompted the company to invest more heavily in this area. Institutions are much more interested in us with our AI than Bitcoin, Frank Holmes, Hive's executive chairman, told Cointelegraph in September. Still, some companies have gone all in on Bitcoin, shedding less competitive parts of their operations. Bitcoin miner Cargo, for example, generated over $100 million worth of Bitcoin in just 2 months after selling off its legacy operations to focus solely on its mining business. And then we did see, what was the one yesterday? I might have to go back and look it up. What were they? It was like a weird company, but they completely shifted over to Bitcoin mining at the end of the day, which is pretty funny. I'm trying to remember what that was. What company was that now? What did they do again? I'm not going to remember. Go watch yesterday's stream. So he's saying make mining great again. Do I think an open source OS will make mining great again? No, because we have an energy cost problem, right? And an access problem. The fact of the matter is that economies of scale still take over with the reduction in cost based off of the, minimum order quantity price discounts that places like, Bitmain and WhatsMiner offer, making it very difficult for you to really. The great thing about mining was being able to mine from your house and decentralizing the network and being profitable and being able to scale. If you haven't already scaled and have a significant amount of capital invested into mining already, it's very difficult to start off with one miner and build up like a lot of us did in the early days, right? So I have a lot of capital invested in mining hardware that allows me to participate and that was all generated through crypto over time and mining crypto. Are those same opportunities available to the whole miner now? I would say not as readily. Without options like obviously like speculative mining kicking off, if you would have speculative mined Caspa, for example, you could have gotten a significant amount of capital to invest in your mining farm, of which, is what helped me survive and invest further into my crypto mining operations. So outside of some like outlier opportunities like that, which are very hard to, speculative mining, it's very hard to find those opportunities. And then secondary to that, that opportunity requires upfront capital costs in power before those are listed and you can actually recover your energy costs. So that is almost more of a gambling situation, unfortunately, as opposed to what it was like, say, 2016 and 2020 with Ethereum, where you had a pretty basic assumption of what you could earn with a single GPU, say, and then plan that out accordingly to scale. Albeit, of course, the bear market's making that quite a bit more difficult, though, right? Interesting in chat, Snake is saying that the Bitcoin challenge has been the #1 vast AI rentals. I haven't heard of the Bitcoin challenge, so I might have to look that up. Let me Google it. The Bitcoin challenge. Is this, what is it? Let's see. So let's get into the Bitcoin challenge, huh? Oh, okay. Got it. So the AI sums it up here too. The Bitcoin challenge refers to a series of cryptographic puzzles involving Bitcoin private keys. These puzzles were created to demonstrate the vastness of the private key space and possibly for entertainment. The challenge involves finding specific private keys that correspond to Bitcoin addresses holding varying amounts of Bitcoin. ranging from small fractions to large sums like 6.7 Bitcoin and 6.8 Bitcoin. To participate in the challenge, participants must systematically examine the range of potential private keys and verify their balances. The narrower the range of keys, the higher the likelihood of discovering the correct private key. Tools and methods such as baby step, giant step, BSGS algorithm, and GPU searches are commonly used to automate the process. As of 2025, several puzzles have been solved, with the latest ones being puzzle number 67 on February 21st, 2025, and 68 on April 6, 2025. The challenge continues to attract interest from enthusiasts and researchers, highlighting the ongoing efforts to explore the security and scalability of the Bitcoin network. So basically, solving for private keys. Unfortunately, this is also something that people have been doing to steal private keys. I assume this is in a manner that doesn't do that, but basically using libraries and brute force attempts with GPUs, etc., to crack it. But here is the private keys directory. So I think what they've done here is they've created them, and then you are fine. So they're creating the puzzles and creating the wallets, and then allowing you to basically search for the solutions via GPU. So this is pretty cool. Like I said, I think that the problem is this does reveal. So there are people stealing. Yes. That are running. So there is a form of this, I guess, where people are trying to like basically brute force seed phrases. There are a few options, I think, on GitHub. Let's see, what is it called again? Okay, this is for research purposes only, by the way. I believe there was a few here. They have a few. I guess there's a seed unscrambler. I'm trying to remember. I know you could find some for a while on GitHub and deploy them on Linux and run GPUs at them. Completely different. Snake's saying all this is created by Satoshi here in particular, what we're talking about. Now, I haven't actually heard of this. I didn't realize that people were getting that into it. So this is pretty interesting that we have some solved. It looks like a lot more being solved more recently. So the first one was solved in 2015. The second one was solved in 2017. The third one was solved in 2019, and the fourth one in 2023. And now, as of September of 2024, there's been 4. So I believe, I suppose AI or the power of the GPUs are getting to the point of being able to solve these puzzles more efficiently. So you can automate this process by using your GPU cloud search solution and generate random keys with a key space of puzzle number 71. Use Private Key Finder to scan the range of puzzles in the browser. Use Key Hunt for CPU searches. Use Kangaroo for GPU searches. Or use BitCrack for GPU searches. Which is going to be a tool for brute forcing Bitcoin private keys. So this is, yes, this is what I was thinking it was. So he found that they're doing that on most of his vast. So Snake is saying that Mike from GPU Risers was saying that his vast rentals are doing this at this point. So I'd be curious as to, obviously this is really old, right? Their example is using a GT 640. And this repository hasn't been updated in 6 years. So there must be a new revelation going on here, because we've found this year it appears that more puzzles have been cracked in 2025, or basically in 2025, than the entirety of the history of Bitcoin, which is pretty crazy. Oh, Hashcat, that makes sense. Okay. Hashcat. Yeah, I've used Hashcat to break into my Steam account after it got hacked. So that makes sense. All right, well, thanks for that topic. That's pretty cool. So there is a new crypto scam I wanted to cover with you guys, just so everybody's aware. It doesn't need private keys or anything like that. It's just making sure everybody's aware of it. And it's called zero value transfer. So an investor lost millions in USDT phishing scam on May 26, 2025. A crypto investor fell victim to a series of on-chain phishing attacks. Excuse me. There we go. All right. I've been fasting and then I broke fast and now I'm gassy. It is what it is. Let's get back into it. Okay. So crypto compliance firm Cybers announced that the victim lost a total of $2.6 million worth of cryptocurrencies. It all started when the user sent 843,000 Tether USDT to an address other than the intended recipient. Just 3 hours later, the user sent 1.75 million USDT more to the same address. The result, all of it was lost in hours. But how did the user make this mistake? According to Cybers, the user became the target of a zero-value transfer scam. So a zero-value transfer is a deceptive scam method that takes advantage of user confusion and can be carried out with no private key access required. Crypto wallet addresses are made up of alphanumeric characters, though the character count varies for each blockchain. It is never less than 26. In USDT's case, it ranges from 34 to 42. Dealing with lengthy, randomly strung characters is a confusing and risky task that might result in several losses in the case of misspelling, as crypto transactions cannot be reversed due to the blockchain's immutable nature. Therefore, users usually resort to copying wallet addresses when sending cryptocurrencies. In a zero-value transfer scam, malicious actors abuse exactly this practice. They search through the targeted wallet and identify addresses it has interacted with. Scammers then create a vanity address that shares the same initial and last characters with an interacted address and send a transaction that doesn't contain any value. The idea is to place the phony address in the targeted wallet's transaction history. The user looking to send crypto to a familiar address again might scroll back through past transactions and accidentally copy the scammer's fake address. This is pretty clever. As a result, the user unknowingly sends a transaction to the scammer with no way to recover the lost cryptocurrencies. A zero token transfer exploit is just one tactic of address poisoning, an umbrella term for scams that rely upon ticking and don't require the attackers to take control of seed phrases or private keys. So essentially, you know how, and I would want to show you, but I don't want to show you on any of these wallets. I'm trying to think. But basically, it's basically creating a vanity address where maybe say the first 4 characters and the last 4 characters of the address are similar to a previous address you sent or received from. Actually, I guess we could just go to Bitcoin. We'll do let's caspa.fyi. That might be easiest actually. So if you were to, they probably come in to say, you know, let's go to top addresses or whatnot. Let's grab let's just go down here somewhere. And so let's say you're trying to hack this account, right? You would look at effectively what addresses this wallet sending to, say this address right here, and you would make an address that shares the QR5C and the Q3RT, but the rest of it would be the same. Then you would send a transaction to this wallet, and then when the user either types and clicks autofill within the wallet, it might autofill the vanity address, right? How to send a transaction with zero value? I think it would depend on the chain, right? I would assume they would send dust or a small amount. At the same time, I know that there are so for example, you could create a trash token on the Ethereum blockchain, and that would still get the address into the user's MetaMask, right? So you could just basically generate a token with AI real quick, deploy it, put however much you want in there, and you could send that too. That's one way I could think of doing it off the top of my head. Scammers also use sophisticated tactics of crypto wallet phishing and ones that blend in with crypto hack methods such as impersonation, QR codes. This is one I have a pet peeve about this, because when I go to conferences, I see a lot of people scanning QR codes. Guys, if you go to a Bitcoin or a crypto conference, obviously I learned this more from QuakeCon and various cybersecurity places or cybersecurity conferences and so on. Don't do this. If you're going, don't go scanning random QR codes. You can get, obviously viruses can be injected through QR codes. On top of that, I highly recommend using some Faraday cage or a silent backpack, or at least turning off NFC, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, all that stuff on your phone too. It's so frustrating that we've gotten into a place where people feel comfortable scanning QR codes on their phone. Just be careful with that, man. Interception through malware, which could be installed with QR codes and smart contract exploits. So that's pretty much it. We've talked about crypto address poisoning attacks before, and then essentially just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention as far as that's concerned. And then I wanted to talk about this one, which I also have a video for. So let's go ahead and get into this. So GPUs got really expensive. There's this cool project that here recently just came out, and I think I even have it's not for sale yet, but this thing is really dope. So they're calling it the 5027 POS. But this is essentially an Asus Nuke 13 or NUC or whatever, 13th gen Core i7 with 64 gigabytes of DDR4 and a 2 terabyte NVMe with a 20 series GPU. And it effectively looks like they made a cute little box for it, but it's a GPU with a full CPU, it's a full PC in a GPU build. And the cool thing about it too is
we talked about how they can't review the 5060, but we got the better one. This is the brand new NVIDIA GeForce 5027.
So here's the video on that. I wanted to react to it.
Piece of ROPS. It's the Piece of ROPS edition. That's the S is from the end of ROPS. This is the common backwards acronym. You don't hear about them a lot, but that's what we're here for. So this is made by a company called Cherry Tree, which we covered in a news episode a long time ago, and I'll explain why in a moment. But this is a video card, sort of, that they built. And it's actually a computer. The computer is in the video card. We brought you this video with our Patreon page at patreon.com/gamersnexus. We self-fund all of our own travel and never charge companies to...
And by the way, I love that they do this. Gamers Nexus has really been inspiring to me for starting locals, staying away from getting sponsors, which I think is even more important in crypto, especially now more than ever. And I think supporting Gamers Nexus and the work they do is fantastic, because They do a lot of controversial work, and they do call it as they see it, and that has put them in a position of struggling with sponsorships, etc. So I appreciate what they do.
To visit their own booths, allowing us to maintain independence in our field reports. We film their stuff because we think it's interesting, and sometimes we walk away. And that's all because we rely on Patreon, our usual background ads, and our store. Lately on Patreon, we've started a revitalization effort, and we've posted a new Patrons Ask GN episode with Q&A and a behind-the-scenes post about what we have coming up. If you want to support our independent reporting and the way we don't sell fully paid-for coverage, especially as these trips cost us sometimes tens of thousands of dollars for 2 weeks in the field, head over to patreon.com/gamersnexus and sign up today. We have plenty more bonus posts coming. And as you can see here, this was once a gigabyte video card, but then we're told that FedEx destroyed it. And so it has become a full computer, and we get to test it. And yes, we are actually benchmarking this because it's probably still better than a 5060. So that's what we're looking at today. Now, Cherry Tree makes this. This is a Borg Cube, except it is a Borg Cube computer case. And I bought it a couple years ago. We didn't ask for it. We tried to be undercover at the time. I'm guessing they probably figured out who we were, but I never actually asked, and we didn't make content for it. Now, the reason I think they probably figured out who we were is because they have a service on their website where you can have them make a custom cat-themed mini Borg Cube to go on top of this one. And I asked them to make one. And I submitted a screenshot of Snowflake from one of our videos. So I don't know if they ever figured that out. I used an alias, but I would assume they did. Anyway, they make this stuff. It's pretty cool. I think this was like officially licensed and everything.
That's a ridiculous case, dude. That case is a lot. There's a lot going on there.
BTS customs or something like that. We need a good build project. So anyway, that's computer case. That's not why we're here today. What we're here for today is the GeForce 5027 piece of ROPS edition. And I need to tear this down. Patrick has done testing for it. We've done acoustics. Now you might want to know why. Sometimes it's nice to actually have fun with computer hardware. And the smaller companies often make that possible. So they custom made this thing. We're going to open it up. You can see here, we'll do a walk around of it. They're not selling this, just to be clear. Like they sent this to us and they were like, maybe this will be fun for you. And I said, yes, that will absolutely be fun. So they've hollowed out what was once the Gigabyte shroud.
Yeah.
They've replaced the Gigabyte logo with their own. Fair enough. And colored it differently. It's still got the 3 fans. They work. They actually blow air into a separate NUC mini PC. So on this side of the card, there's actually a small computer. And you can even see its I/O here in the PCI expansion slot. Now,
I mean, that's great. Like just for like a one-off build-off that they even got the I/O there. I still think a BC250 makes more sense than this.
if you wanted to do it, if you built something like this, you could actually put this
like,
in to a computer and use it as a computer inside of a computer. It is not powered through the PCIe slot. It's purely decorative. This is not the old NUC where it was like a PCIe card. It's a normal PCB NUC inside of this without the PCIe slot. Now for the rest, so like they customized the power adapter. So it uses a barrel plug adapter.
Like effectively, that's what I've been doing with these BC250s, right? Is like just running it as a computer. I think the better thing about this is I bet this uses even less power than that. And it's just, I think, designed a lot better, right? But it's kind of funny that this is like, it'll be interesting to see the direction all of these things take as, you know, components get more powerful and smaller in capability.
They customized it to fit this, what used to be 8-pin connector. On this side, you see a bunch of wires and then also a switch, and that is our power button. I'm seeing some screws here. This one is colored silver. This one's colored silver. My assumption is that that's for a reason, and then we've got some others, which these would traditionally, I think, be to hold in the Gigabyte logo, from what I remember when we tore down a Gigabyte card. Normally there's screws in the back. You can see a lot of those are missing this time. There are still 2 here. I'm sure there's a couple others we'll find along the way. So let's start with the silver ones here. We've got 2 to take out. There's a large screw. Oh, that's a short screw. Okay. What does it mean? It has to be like... I'm thinking this large one is symbolic of what it feels like.
I want to see the teardown of this.
5060. Just one large screw. And the small one is representative of the ROPs that are not in it. All right, let's see if that did anything. So that's promising.
Dig it, the 5060.
A couple more on the bottom. Like how the switch is pretty nice, actually. We were kind of talking to Cherry Tree, and the question was more or less, but why? And the answer was because fun. This is pretty sick.
I think
All right, so,
I think that's the best reason to do anything.
got a taped connector here.
Thanks for the sub,
So
Stick
that
Shark.
looks like, I mean, that is an RGB connector. And that's the other side of it, adapted. The shroud is just a gigabyte shroud. I want to just treat this like a GPU teardown because I feel like that's what I'm doing, but there's a fin stack. Let's just do it. Who cares? So we'll go for it. It's got 5 heat pipes in it. Looks like these are probably 6 mil copper heat pipes. And then the fin stack over here would typically cover the VRMs. That'd be the MOSFETs, the inductors, 1/2 the VRM. And then over on this side, it is missing. So the rest of it is gone. I'm assuming the heat pipes go nowhere. We're going to find out pretty soon because they should go into a cold plate that doesn't
So how is the die cooled here?
to exist. And that's fine. I don't think this needs a whole lot of cooling. Now, this looks like the actual cooling solution. Let's try to get to that. So how's the rest of this? We've got the LED strip here, zip tied in place. We've got a
Well, you have to have the
power
RGB
cable here. I'm thinking it screws on the back. An interesting challenge.
Oh, that's
a
a plate right there, huh?
It's an interesting approach.
Which part?
Right
Standoff and a
here.
Yeah. Oh, is there a standoff under there? Oh yeah. The top.
Hold on, buddy.
I noticed it did a screw into a standoff going through the back. That's actually pretty good. That's a clever, like, quick way to do it. Okay.
NVIDIA need to take this in consideration.
You know what? That's right. So Jensen, as we all know, 4 elephants.
4 elephants. 1 GPU.
How is this assembled? There's one more.
4 elements.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at their website as well, and if you go like home, it's all Star Wars and Star Trek stuff, like the board cube, bunch of Star Wars computers and accessories. They got Darth Vader here. I mean, I don't know what the quality of these cases are, but yeah, it looks like that's all they do. It's like silly stuff.
Ooh, that's promising. I'm being more careful with this than with like $2,000 video cards. All right, so we're tied down by the cables. I think I need to clip the cable ties.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I can remove the power connectors, actually. Okay.
No, there was a zip tie.
Promising. It's definitely a good idea to not bring this through the TSA. I think the easiest thing to do is going to be to dismount the NUC.
Hell yeah, I'd buy it. It's...
God.
I mean, to be honest, it's very engineering sampley, and it is definitely really jank. Like, I think, like, they would need to do a lot of R&D and in engineering and redesign, right?
I don't remember how to put this together. It's like, what screws are on the shop floor today? There you go. That's a...
I'm trying to figure out, is this a heat plate?
This is why they sent it to us.
Well, that's the NUC, right?
I'm not sure what these do. These are definitely power cables. It's just power and ground. Are these the same? I should maybe mark these. I look forward to not knowing what that means in a few days when I put it back together. Wow, this is cool. Look at this. All right, that's creative. Check that out. So, for whatever this is, oh, this is the switch. Yeah, see down here. So that's the power switch right there. So this is like the front panel connector. They've soldered the power switch into it. That's how you get the jump start. So I guess they identified which pins on the NUC. I don't know if this is like a individually wired or if it's one large power connector. I don't remember which NUC this is, but they identified it and they just hardwired the switch in. I can respect that. That's cool. This is very creative. All right, let's just defer over to the screw pile. So that'll be fun later. All right, there's the SSD. It is, you know what, the box actually tells us what this is. Let's just take a look.
I've been running these in I've been running those team groups in the BC250s as well.
As you all know, memory capacity on NVIDIA's GPUs, it's been a problem. And because we can barely get 8 gigabytes in some cases, what Cherry Tree's done here with their revolutionary new GeForce 5027 POS edition, which is, as we all know, underclocked and overrated. What they have done with this revolutionary new technology is make it 64 gigabytes and 2 terabytes. Complain about that, Steve, from Hardware Unboxed. Is that enough VRAM for you? 2 terabytes? Are you happy now? Are you not on the top of your roof to complain about how bad the NVIDIA GPUs are? So we've got a just wireless card here. So that's just running through. Looks like the antenna are running up here. And then otherwise, there's the 64 gigabytes of system memory. So that's team group memory. It is DDR4 3200. I suppose the SoC is under here.
Okay,
really
so
gotta
that's...
give it to Cherry Tree here. We've never worked with their stuff before. I've only ever covered
So there's no...
news.
It's all
Didn't know this isn't for
integrated.
sale.
Everything's on the NUC, huh? So there's not like a... Let me look at this. They're just being silly, far superior to that. So there's no GPU in here at all, huh?
Demonstrating a level of creativity that I would like to engage more with. I think it's adhesive. Yeah, that's adhesive there. Let's, I guess, disconnect it, the fan. Okay. I think it's this Mylar flow guide. Let's peel that. That would definitely take the fan off, but I'd prefer to leave it on and just pull the whole heat sink. None of this is necessary, but we've come this far. Okay. All right. This is like a lot more work than a video card. There's the blower fan. This was butted up against the fin stack. So this tiny fin stack is the actual heatsink. This fin stack, if you've ever wondered, I wonder what heat pipes look like inside. There it is. I mean, it's not as clean as a water jet, but it's a pretty good cut. And
For some reason, I thought that they had hooked up a NUC to like a 20 series GPU, but that's not at all what happened here. Like at all.
Sintered copper powder heat pipes. So then there's 2 heat pipes here, just routed right over the SoC. SoC's under that plate. And
they aren't selling them.
That was our power cable, which
4-pin
was routed out to the barrel adapter. And the barrel adapter here, you can see they've creatively wired in the ground cables and power.
It's so
just straight
bad.
into what used to be the 8-pin. It's a good thing they didn't use 12-volt high power for this. And then looks like bundled PCB down here for some kind of control. And then this resin plate, which we did get some information on. My understanding is they just did this for fun. It was basically like they needed a back plate, and so they just made this in the shape of the original PCB or something like that. So anyway, that's the teardown. This thing's cool. I really like this. So that is the Cherry Tree, just one more time for NVIDIA, GeForce 5027 piece of shit edition. So that is what this is with all 2 terabytes and 64
First day at
gigabytes
work project.
of
Dude, that's like some of the worst soldering I've seen too.
various types of volatile and non-volatile memory. We're going to get into some of the testing now because we did do testing. And this is making me want to do something with this now. So not ready to yet. We'll talk about it when we're ready. I do, however, like the detail of Snowflake knocking one of the enterprise variants off of the top of the Borg cube.
Hey, Dada.
That is pretty cool.
Hold
And
on,
the paint
guys.
job is pretty damn accurate, actually. So I'm assuming they figured out.
Bubba's
about
wanting
years ago,
bubble gum.
but, if they didn't, then surprise. All right, let's get into the benchmarks. Now getting into the more serious stuff. So briefly, the core specs for this we found include an Asus NUC 13ANK-B system at its core, which of course everybody knows the spec for that by heart. By which, I mean, we looked it up, and it has an i7 1360p, which we also had to look up. That has an integrated Iris Xe graphics solution with 6 Xe cores. It's got 64 gigabytes of system memory, DDR4 3200, as we saw. It's got an external power supply. The power supply is 20 volts, but Cherry Tree says it can also use a 12-volt PCIe power connector. We didn't try that, though. All of this was built in what used to be a 2070 Super as well. So now for the serious, no jokes,
But the 2070 Super isn't even hooked up to the NUC, so like it's just a NUC.
sincere testing plan. For some reason, we decided this was actually necessary. We kept things simple by performing our power, thermal, and acoustic testing
It is a good
simultaneously
troll.
in our
Fair enough, Squirrel. I got baited hardcore on this for sure. I don't even need to look at, you know, these benchmarks. He does the power consumption. Oh God. Did they night raid? Did they not any gaming on here? There you go. Here, I'll share the video so you guys can go watch it. Anyways, I want to share that with you guys. I saw it was pretty funny. Other than that, I do have a weird coin to share with you guys if you're interested. So we'll do a WTF is to wrap everything up today. This was posted on June 7th, so I guess yesterday at 8 a.m. and it is a project called Districts. And they say it's a cutting-edge layer 1 blockchain that goes beyond traditional mining and staking, designed for builders, miners, and DeFi enthusiasts alike. It combines high-throughput ET hash proof-of-work network with a vibrant staking ecosystem and on-chain DeFi primitives, all paving the way to a fully peer-to-peer compute marketplace. So it's going to support, you know, obviously all the ET hash or what Ethereum for EVM, right? And it is going to be the memory hard ET hash consensus. So it says GPU friendly mining, but obviously there are going to be ET hash ASICs that can be thrown onto there. And EVM means obvious Ethereum dApp support, all that. Apparently it's going to support 2,000 plus transactions per second with blocks every 6 to 12 seconds, which is interesting. And it will be, here's the tokenomics, which is insane. 15% to proof of work miners, 50% to staking pool, 20% to liquidity providers, 10% to innovator fund, whatever that is, and a 5% development fund. So the tokenomics are awful off the bat, and there will be a 12.5% reduction annually. So I suppose that is essentially, that's going to be a halving every it's going to be a 100% reduction every 4 years, right? So same thing. No, 12, 25. No, yeah, 50%. It's a halving every 4 years, just like everything else, except it's happening yearly. Here's where things got weird, and this is why I wanted to talk about it. They have contributor nodes, And so you can pay them 149 USDT and you get a 30-month node license. And with that license, you then stake your DSTX to earn rewards, both an equal share 10% and proportional share 90% of the staking pool. And the early adopters enjoy a lot larger slice of the pie. Obviously, a ton of sketchy behavior going on here. Obviously, a fork of Ethereum. I don't know that there's any validity in the 2,000 transactions per second. You're feeding them 149 USDT early on to, I guess, be even allowed to participate. And I'll show you guys why I know that. Because if you go to their app, which this actually looked really clean, their app. So they have a faucet here. I was like, oh, I'll go to the faucet, and I can't claim, well, I have to test that. But to get mainnet faucet payout, you have to have $149 in your USDT account and a 0 DSTX balance and not have previously claimed. And then they will give you a payout from the faucet. Currently, there are 14 contributor nodes in 3 different countries and 12.6 thousand DSTX currently staked. And none of the computing stats are available now because it's under development, all that sort of thing. I guess there will be a bridge as well. And so I don't know. It's hard to tell if this is just it feels like a gotcha, right? Like you're gonna connect, pay us $150, and they're just gonna shut it all down. I could be completely wrong. They did clearly put a lot of work into this, I suppose. Anytime though I go to a new project and the immediate thing is like connect your wallet, which I'm sure this is, yeah, Brave, MetaMask, Phantom. It feels like I feel like it might be just a scam. I don't know though. Apparently there is a referral program. It goes over how to buy a node. Right now, obviously, it doesn't appear that you can purchase just a DSTX, or at least that I'm aware of. So I guess the only way to purchase it is through here. I assume at some point there will be mining, but I don't know at this point. So it does feel very ruggish, as you say in chat, Gallo, because, you know, anytime it's like pay us USDT, but maybe it's not. I haven't ever seen anything like this before, so I wanted to cover it. It's because it's quite odd. They do have, I guess, what I would call a fairly robust website, fairly robust documentation. And so I guess that's kind of cool. And if you go to the network details, you can see here that you can connect, add it to your MetaMask. Obviously, being an Ethereum fork, this is always very easy to do. Ethereum forks have always been a little sketchy, but at the same time, you know, Octaspace has really kind of come out of nowhere and shown that it can be done and can be successful. Of course, Octaspace is going down the AI route. And I don't see any, I don't know right now, and I gotta look because it seems like it's only staking, but I don't know if you can mine it currently. But you want to keep an eye out for the mining because it didn't look like you could right this second. And they don't have a Discord. They only have a Telegram, which also feels a little sketchy as well. Not James says it kind of gives me Larissa vibes. So there you go. I guess there's swap analytics though. So I guess there are. It is decentralized right now. You can swap with Tether, USDT, and DSTX pairing. So there is a pairing for USDT and wrapped DSTX. So there is that available, I suppose. So there is that. I don't know. Apparently right now DSTX is listed at 35 cents. Currently with a 24-hour trading volume of 1,000 and a TVL of 1370, sounds like. Wonder where you can trade it. I guess it's just swapping it directly. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so this just works like, you know, Uniswap or anything else, but it's within their own ecosystem right here, swap.districts.network. I don't know. It looks like you can only swap for USD, USDT, and districts and wrap districts. It feels like it might be just a USDT funnel scam, but I wanted to bring it up because it was brand new and I saw it pop today, and make you guys aware, especially because I think it's important to state that you should probably be extremely cautious in regards to it. If you guys find out how the mining works, let me know. I would be curious to figure it out. But right now, I don't think that it's all staking right now. As far as like, that's what it seems to be to me, right? Apparently though, break even on staking is 6 days, a 6-day ROI, which sounds absolutely too good to be true, and I wouldn't trust that, but there you go. It seems crazy. And then I guess you'll get about, what would that be, 3 to 1, so you're gonna get, I think if you did you should get how many tokens? 450 DSTX tokens if you buy the node license. And I don't see any announcement for when the proof of work will roll out or if that's already out. When I looked on mining pool stats, I didn't see it. Let's look again though. Yeah, so nothing on mining pool stats. I didn't see let's go look and make sure. Okay, here we go. Explorer, node and staking, swap bridge exchange, contributor node, decentralized computing. This is essentially what they're going to be going for. So it looks like it's just contract call token transfers for spinning up right now. They've had 247 transactions today. Anyways. Pretty crazy. Apparently it says it's a $105,000 market cap right now, which to me screams rug right off the bat. For what? First 24 hours? Let's see what they got as far as socials. I don't see any. Okay, so it just takes us back to here. Let's see. It does have a Twitter link, so let's go here. See, it says ET hash proof of work, but I'm not seeing any mining info at all. DSTX. Oh, here we go. Here's a GitHub. There you run your node. One release. It's Geth. So it'd be pretty easy to build a node. Designed for large-scale decentralized applications, 2,000 transactions per second, and full EVM support. That would be really fast for EVM. Like an ET hash fork. It looks so. Update block reward. Let's look at this. So miner reward percentage 15%. Staking reward 50%. So there's a built-in development fee in the block reward. So it looks like you can mine it right now. Still references to ETH right there. So districts chain. Yeah, update block reward here. Yeah. So it looks like you could build the node and start mining right now. Did they say what the each block reward is? Every block produces one DSTX with blocks every 6 to 12 seconds. So let's say, what is that? 60 divided by 12. Yeah. So 6 blocks a minute times 60 equals, times 24, so 8,640. That's the 8,640 emissions times 0.15 for the mining. So proof of work mining emissions would be 1,296 per day times 0.3, let's say at the current price. So total mining emissions per day right now would be $388.80. Well, so what I would like, if you want to participate, obviously I'm not going to say you should come in and pay them the 140. So in response to Daniel, what I would say is I would go, and what I'll probably do is build the node and enable mining and mine. And then if the mining works, swap out for a USDT and provide liquidity to the network. That would be the best strategy that costs you no money and lets you participate, right? So configure and run the node. point an Ethereum miner at it. And then I think they had the... where was it? On docs, right? Do I have the docs pulled up? So if we go to documents, the wallet, yeah, so they have the network details right here. So you would just, you know, add custom token into MetaMask and add this information, get the wallet address and mine to that wallet address, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. And you spend no money, which is, I want to advise you not to go to app.districts.network and buy a node. Don't do that, right? Well, so if you, well, and then that's the thing, right? So I'm saying, like, right now, I mean, and here's the potential problem, right? You provide liquidity, you're making the USDT portion off of it, and you're potentially a part of the scam at that point, right? If that's the way it works out, right? But I'm saying, like, if you just mine the token there, it only has one pairing, right, on there so far. So you can only swap it to USDT, suck up all the USDT that's currently in there, I guess. Kind of funny. I don't know. It looks like from the GitHub, though, it looks like mining is enabled. So, yeah, I mean, you can totally start mining it, even though in the documents, it doesn't look like they gave... There is no guide on it, but if you've built an Ethereum node before, you can do it, you know? And I think I even have a guide on that somewhere, so you go look that up. I think it's been a while, though. But Geth is pretty straightforward. Am I going to try it? If I have enough time. I don't necessarily have enough time right now. So, I'm trying to think if I even have a Linux box available. I think I do have a Linux box available right now. But I'd want to be really, really careful. I don't want to load any of that on anything. It's on my network. I have my mining VLAN, but I don't think I have a Linux box on my mining VLAN. But you know what I do have? I do have a lot of BC250s and Hive OS currently installed on them. So I guess I could just, yeah, I guess I could just plug one of these in, hook it up, plug it into my mining. Yeah, I'm probably going to try it. I'm probably going to try it. Why not? It's something fun to do right now, I guess. There's not a lot going on. Yeah, so just install Ubuntu 22.04 on there and get going. I don't even remember if I don't even know if I remember how to enable mining. Use the following command to start syncing mining and exposing RPC. So unlock, so report, sync mode, strict solo, boot nodes, unlock accounts, enable. I'd have to go pull up the Geth. I wonder if they even have it. Anyways. Need video content? Well, obviously, if I was going to do a video, I'd have to, like, go practice. That's what I'm going to have to go do. My last, I had some stuff ready, but I haven't got it done with the Steam boxes that I was working on. That was what I was wanting to do next. But the only time I've had lately, and the reason I'm doing the live streams is that's like the only time. I don't forget how to mine. I don't remember how to enable mining on Geth. Do you? I can figure it out. For sure. Mine Geth. Okay. Okay. So once you get Geth up, you run Geth, you say miner.etherbase, which I think this is different, right? So that's right here. Miner.extradata. But that's not right. Miner.etherbase. Okay. So then, yeah, so basically you put the mining address in here. And I think the only miner, we could try some different miners, but I think the only miner that would work with it would be ET, like the old ETH miner. I think would be the only one that would work with it. And then I would have to open that port to I guess to my gaming VLAN and then point my gaming rig at it. That'd be pretty much about it. But yeah, that would be... I'll work on it. I'll see what I can do, boys. Should be pretty simple. They got it. The Git right here to clone it. Here, we'll just start installing. How about that? How about that? How big do you... How big is this? 54 megabytes? And the chain's not that old, right? It's MetaMask, Snake. So to do the wallet, you're just going to go into your MetaMask and you're going to add a custom network. And then you're going to go to the docs. I'll show you. This is pretty easy. So you go to docs. We go to wallet. We copy the network name. Crap. I have to do this again. Add network. Add custom network. Network name. RP. Oh, it's going to take that away every time. I forgot. Here. Let me move this so I can copy paste. So here, add custom network, districts, RPC URL, here, RPC name, doesn't matter. Chain ID is 23333. Currency symbol is DSTX. And block explorer is scan.districts.network. There, add, save, and then boom, we're on the districts network. And so at this point, right, we click receive, copy the address, and this is what we would put into this configuration on the node. We would put this address right here, copy this out, paste that into our node information. Bada bing, bada boom, sir. So next step okay, so before we start this, okay, so I'm going to do it for you guys, but you got to do something for me. We're going to hop off of YouTube because we're going to end it here, okay? And we're going to go build the node on, we're going to be live on Twitch, Kick, and yeah, Twitch, Kick, and Twitter. I'm going to end this because otherwise it takes my editor too long to download the video if it's too long. So he needs to clip all the news articles and all this stuff. So I'm going to stop streaming here. We're going to go over to twitch.tv/blindrun and we will build out the node and have some fun. How's that sound? You've convinced me. At least we'll start. Okay. So go there, or if you want less ads, you can go to kick.com over there. There you go. And Stick Shark's already over there. Yep, so either one of those. I am going to end the stream real quick. Thanks everybody that watched. But we're going to reset it and just be over on Twitch. Like I said, I just have to do that for the editor. Otherwise, it'll take him forever in Pakistan to download the whole thing. So